Welcome back, everybody, to Watcher of All Things. My name is Kiki, and this is my podcast where I talk movies, TV shows, and all things entertainment. And today is episode 26, where we will be talking Longlegs, a terrifying, exhilarating movie that made me scared to go to the bathroom alone after, and I wish I saw this in the daylight because seeing it at night, oh my god. Yeah, that was something special. Even in a room full, it was actually a very busy theater, and I've only seen, a lot of people have been like posting screenshots of their theaters or their auditoriums or whatever when they're going to see the movie, and it's been full for like everybody that I've seen, and mine was pretty full as well. Actually, there was a guy sitting beside me. You know how it's like the leather reclinable seats that you can go all the way down? It was literally like he was on his couch at home. He had a beer in the cup holder. He reclines it as far as possible. The seat's empty beside him. He's literally like sprawled out across both seats, and he's just got the popcorn. He's munching away as loud as possible. Shoes off, just hanging out. I was like, damn, dude, I'm chilling major hard right now. But yeah, it was terrifying to see a horror movie, and despite being in a room full of people, and I thought I could handle this kind of thing, and I was scared. I'm surprised I didn't have a bad dream last night, but I hope you have had a good summer week. I guess it was the first or the second week for at least students in Canada and teachers and people. A lot of people are on their vacations now, so what a great time to listen to a podcast. I'm in the car, I'm on a plane, I'm on a train, I'm on a boat, I'm chilling at a cottage by the water or whatever. Why not tune your fine ears into a wonderful program like this? And yeah, we got a good one today. I think this is a horror movie that will do extremely well, and I mean, on the whole, horror movies do very well, I find, in theaters. At least a lot of people just have no problems going to horror movies because they're so disconnected from everything, and it's an amusement ride almost, in a very good way. Marty Scorsese, not in a bad way like the Marvel movies. Before we get into that, as always, there is timestamps below, so if you want to completely avoid all the Longlegs discussion until after you've seen the movie, you can just listen to the news where we have lots of juicy stuff to talk about. Then you can go to what else I watched, because I did watch a few other things that I will chat about. But yeah, before we get into Longlegs, let's talk about the news of the week. The first piece of news is not exactly a happy thoughts. The Arkham Asylum TV series is not moving forward at Max, apparently. So originally, the Matt Reeves Batman movies were going to have two spin-off shows. The Penguin, which is confirmed to come out September 19th. We've gotten a full trailer. Looks really great. I'm very excited for that. The other one was originally, I think the other one was originally going to be like a Gotham PD show, and then it turned into an Arkham Asylum show or something like that, but it has been developed as an Arkham show, and unfortunately it hasn't worked out for one reason or another. It's now canceled, which that has me worried. I really hope we get the Batman Part 2. I'm scared, and I've seen other people online saying perhaps they are rewriting the Batman Part 2, that it can just be folded into the main DC universe and it will not be an Outer Worlds or Elseworlds story, because there's been lots of good photos of like the Robert Pattinson Batman suit beside the David Corenswet Superman suit, and I do think aesthetically they can match each other very well. I think these are worlds that could go together very well. I think if we got the Matt Reeves Batman in the larger DC universe, that would be cool. I mean, they would have to pay Robert Pattinson a shitload of money, because other than Twilight, like, I don't know, I think he's more of a smaller production or more singular production, non-sequel productions type person. Like, he only did Harry Potter, one movie, obviously because he died. I think like this Batman trilogy, if it's even going to be a trilogy, I don't know. It's all interesting, but we are not getting the Arkham series. It was originally announced in July 2020 with a series commitment, but at the time it was meant to focus on the inner workings of the Gotham Police Department as featured in the Batman. Terrence Winter was attached to write and executive produce, but he left the project in November 2020 due to creative differences. Creator Joe Barton was then brought in to write, but Warner Brothers ultimately parted ways with Barton as well. Reeves would then say in an interview in 2020 that the Gotham PD show is not happening, but the story had started to evolve into what became the Arkham Asylum show, which he described as being like a horror movie or a haunted house thing that is in Arkham. And I guess, you know, with James Gunn and Peter Safran coming on DC Studios and launching a reboot and all that stuff, Gunn said that the show was still in development and clarified that it was meant to be set within the new DCU rather than the same world as the Batman. So that's what has me thinking, like Mr. Sunday Movies on the Weekly Planet, I was listening to their show, and they also think that perhaps they're just going to fold in the Robert Pattinson Batman into the DC universe, which I personally think is a great idea. And I've just been kind of browsing Reddit or whatever when I saw this was canceled, and a lot of people said the fact that Matt Reeves, or James Gunn rather, had said that the show was going to actually exist in the DC universe. Perhaps that's why they're delaying writing on the Batman movie, the part 2 at least, because they're finding ways to just like subtly include it into the universe, that maybe James Gunn and Peter Safran and Matt Reeves are all working their own magic, that we like your version, we want it in our universe, and we'll give you as much time as you want. Robert can stay on as Batman. We'll give him, 3 movies, and his 3rd movie can be the final one in the DC universe, and then he can just show up in other stuff if you want. I think that's really great. It is a bummer, however, that we're not getting this show. I think it was perhaps just stuck in development hell for a few years there with the shifting DC hierarchy and the changing of Warner Brothers, and it's just a mess over there. And I think now DC is maybe going to finally get some stability with James Gunn taking over and Peter Safran. So I don't know. We will see what happens with all of the Matt Reeves stuff. I mean, the Penguin is for sure coming out. That cannot be canceled. They've had a full trailer, and I think it was actually just talked about this week that San Diego Comic-Con, they're starting to like put out the lineup, which is, I want to say next week or 2 weeks. It's in July, right? So Marvel is going to be there for the first time in a few years, but also DC is going to come, and I believe Matt Reeves is attending San Diego Comic-Con, although I might be wrong about that. I know for sure Marvel is showing up, so hopefully they're announcing that a bunch of shit is canceled. Like we got, there's one trailer from Marvel that we will talk about, and one that I haven't even bothered to watch because I just really don't care, and I'm just going to watch the show without the trailer. But I think the Matt Reeves stuff, I am a little bit nervous that part 2 of the Batman will never come. But let's go on to some happy news, because as I talked about last week, Inside Out is absolutely murdering the box office, and now it has hit another box office milestone. It was reported everywhere, including Hollywood Reporter, who said box office milestone Inside Out 2 becomes Pixar's top grossing movie of all time globally. The blockbuster sequel has passed up Incredibles 2 to land at number 4 on the list of biggest animated films ever, and its joyous ascent won't end there. On Wednesday, Inside Out 2 passed up Incredibles 2 at $1.242 billion, so that's what Incredibles 2 had, to become the top grossing Pixar title of all time at the worldwide box office. So not just domestic, that is all around the world. That puts it at number 4 on the overall list of top grossing animated films, and the climb is far from done, meaning it could ultimately rank number 1. So Inside Out 2 finished Tuesday with $1.251 billion in global ticket sales, including $543.5 million just in North America, where it's already the 3rd biggest animated picture of all time, and $708 million internationally, where it is the 8th biggest animated title ever. Holy moly. Inside Out 2, yeah, doing very well. I mean, first screening I went to, very full. Second screening, I saw it probably 4 weeks after the second time when I went with my girlfriend 2 weeks ago, and still absolutely packed. I still see tons of people just now seeing it on like Letterboxd or Twitter or whatever. I think Pixar really got a good jump on summer with this one. I think they released it. First of all, I think they released it at a perfect time. School was like in the last couple weeks, so some people, whether even young teenagers, don't have exams or whatever, so they skip school and what are we going to do today? Let's go to the movies. Or kids are now at home with babysitters or parents for the summer. What are we going to do today? Well, it's 38 degrees outside. How about we go to the movies? That's kind of the vibe I get from this. So, I mean, bravo to them. They did very well. Yay, corporations and capitalism. I mean, I feel stupid for saying that, but for me, it's a good thing because the theaters are bumping right now. Like at Longlegs last night, even not only my screening of Longlegs, but like the whole theater itself, which has 24 screens at mine that I go to. It's Landmark Cinemas. It was crazy busy inside, and it's not like it was a shitty rainy day. Like it was a fine, it was fine last night, and it was a Thursday night, but it was absolutely packed. So I think Inside Out 2 did very well strategically planning when they were going to release it. I think they hit that perfect time of kids not being in school all the time because it is the end of the year, and just starting summer break where like summer camps will go to the movies on a day or whatever like that. So there you go. And I think the box office is really gonna keep chugging along this summer. I mean, we have Deadpool and Wolverine 2 weeks. Yeah, in 2 weeks. And Longlegs did very well, I think, from what I can tell. Like, it's very busy everywhere. So Inside Out 2, I don't think is going to stop anytime soon. I think it will keep going. I could see it easily hitting, maybe 1.5 billion globally. Like, they might as well just keep it in theaters as long as they want and just let it keep going. It's not like it's slowing down. It has not had a crazy dip week after week. It has kind of kept pretty steady. I don't see them pulling it anytime soon. It's not like, I don't know, the A Quiet Place prequel or whatever is literally going to be on video on demand on July 30th, I think, which is just stupid. It was in theaters for what, 4 weeks total it's going to get? It's summer. Just keep the movies in the theaters. Stop pulling them early for video on demand. It makes no sense. If you're going to put them in theaters, you may as well just commit. If they're making like a bit of money, then you know it's only going to pick up through word of mouth or people just not having stuff to do in summer and wanting to go to the movies because it's hot outside, or they just have no plans, or they're in a summer camp and it's raining outside, so they go and do something. And then, you know, there's other parts of the world where it's winter break, like in Australia, it's people's winter break right now. So kids are at home and, you know, it's crappy outside, so let's go to the movies. I don't know. Well done, Inside Out 2. Yay, Disney, I guess. I don't know. Let's move on to a film that absolutely bombed at the box office, and in fact its sequel has been pulled. Horizon. As I understand, I haven't seen it. It's 3 hours and it was a Kevin Costner cowboy movie, so I was like, you know what, I'll wait to see it. I am going to see it in theaters, but there's other stuff that's more pressing matters right now that I want to see, such as Inside Out 2 or Longlegs, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, the first one absolutely bombed at the box office. I've only heard bad things about it, and the second one has been pulled from August release in theaters. It was coming out August 16th, which is in a month from now, the same day Alien Romulus comes out. So yeah, it's been pulled from theaters after the first one's flopped. So Kevin Costner's period western Horizon: An American Saga chapter 2 won't be riding into theaters on August 16th after all. The film is being pulled from the release calendar for now after Horizon: An American Saga chapter 1 bit the dust in its theatrical debut last month. A new date has yet to be announced for the sequel, but a theatrical release is still the intention. Costner's Territory Pictures and distribution partner New Line Cinema made the decision to switch up their ambitious release plan in hopes of allowing more time to gross the audience for the first film, which sports a $100 million price tag. As part of that attempt, Chapter 1 will debut in the home premiere video on demand July 16th. Oh my god, that's next week. In addition to still being available to watch in theaters. So I think it's in 4 parts, these movies. It's like 4 chapters, but what they were doing is they want to put out, they had Chapter 1 come out in early July or end of June, and the second part is coming out middle of August, but nobody is seeing the first one. That's a very ambitious plan, but that is very Kevin Costner, what he does. Like in the 90s, he released a cajillion flops in theaters and super ambitious things for him, you know what I mean? Really weird. I mean, he's doing kind of a Francis Ford. I'm pretty sure he put a bunch of his own money into this, so he's kind of doing like a Francis Ford Coppola Megalopolis type thing where puts a bunch of money into it, and I've only heard bad things about Horizon, that it is incredibly dull, and it's crazy he ditched Yellowstone to do this, but you go, girl. It's not looking good though. Okay, let's move on to a sequel that was announced this week. Shrek 5, as Eddie Murphy was hinting at last week, is officially coming in 2026, and the big stars are on board, as CNN has said. The movie studio DreamWorks Animation confirmed in their post on Twitter and Instagram and stuff that Shrek 5 will hit the big screen on July 1st, 2026, 16 years after the previous episode was released. Mike Myers will come back as Shrek, of course, Cameron Diaz, Princess Fiona. Eddie Murphy will reprise his role as Donkey. The movie is going to be directed by Walt Dorm, who's done Trolls, and Brad Abelson, who did Minions: The Rise of Gru, and it's going to be written by Michael McCullers and Christopher Melandandri. The first Shrek movie was a massive hit in 2001, spawning sequels Shrek 2 in 2004, Shrek the Third in 2007, and Shrek Forever After in 2010. There was also a spin-off movie, Puss in Boots, which did very well. Oh, sorry, that was the first one, which was released in 2011. The sequel, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, came out in 2022. I remember that did immensely well, was critically very well received. It's not yet confirmed whether Banderas is coming back, but Shrek 5, okay, I guess. I don't know. I don't really care. There's a lot of crazy movies coming out next year. Like in 2026. Like we're apparently getting Dune 3, The Batman Part 2, the new Avatar movie. I think Avatar 3 is coming out that year. Shrek 5. So, I mean, pretty crazy stuff that, I mean, whatever. I love Shrek 1 and Shrek 2. Those are movies that I can go to and watch any day. They're probably my favorite animated movies. Grew up on them. I know the Far, Far Away Idol DVD feature off by heart. It is what it is. I mean, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm not going to shut it down, but it's not the Strangers Legacy sequel that we're getting. I mean, we're getting a Devil Wears Prada sequel for some Why? I don't know why. That's a movie that I think we can just leave that alone. It's really not needed. Shrek 5, I guess, whatever, but just bringing back a cast that's all older, they're going to be tired, they're not going to sound the same. Whatever, man. I'd go capitalism, I guess. All right, let's finish the news with a couple of trailers that came out this week. The first one, We Live in a Time, which is Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh. It's a romantic comedy. Did not get that vibe from the trailer. So Google, I think you may be talking about the wrong movie. But anyways, very sad trailer. First of all, I'm not the biggest Andrew Garfield fan. Something about him, just in movies I watch him in, it just irritates me. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like Lin-Manuel Miranda stuff. It's kind of the same thing every time you get with them, and I'm not a big fan of it. I don't know what it is. I think he seems like a very nice person, seems like a very normal dude, but there's something about him and everything I watch him in that I'm just like, I just don't get it. Florence Pugh I really like. So We Live in a Time is an upcoming romantic comedy drama, a film directed by John Crowley from a screenplay by Nick Payne. It's slated to premiere at the 2024 Toronto International Film Festival, TIFF, and it looks like January 2025, I think it's going to come out everywhere else. I don't know. They have a kid, and I'm fairly sure the story is that Florence Pugh's character gets cancer. It's a movie that looks at the past, the present, and the future. It looks promising, and it looks pretty heartbreaking, so I'm definitely going to see it. I can't even remember the last Andrew Garfield movie I saw. Probably, Tick, Tick, Boom? That was an absolute nightmare of Lin-Manuel Miranda and Andrew Garfield teaming up. Could not stand it. Like, it was fine. It was just, what the fuck? Like, I just cannot stand Lin-Manuel Miranda's music. I hate Hamilton as well. I don't care. But the trailer looks interesting, at least. Like, I think it actually looks like a very heartbreaking story. They got the kid with them, and that is, like, pretty terrifying. Actually, I saw a funny tweet that was like, apparently the kid still calls Florence mom and Andrew dad, and someone just quote tweeted it with Nathan Fielder from The Rehearsal, that he's clarifying with the kid, like, I'm not your real dad, right? A trailer that did, shockingly, I cannot believe this trailer actually got me excited. This morning, Friday, July 12th, the trailer for Captain America Brave New World came out. And dare I say, after months and months of rewrites, reshoots, adding a character like 2 weeks ago, and he's already showing up in the trailer, I actually thought this looks okay. Like, I watched the trailer and I was like, wait a minute, I'm not hating this. I think Anthony Mackie looks super solid as Captain America. Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. Harrison Ford, dare I say, he actually looks interested and into it. And if he's trying in a movie, it's probably okay. Like, I don't know, he's grumbled his way through plenty of films, and those have usually end up being bad, but he actually looks like he's kind of trying in this. So he has a really good line that's like, you may be Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers. So look, cinematography wise, it looks like a Marvel movie. It has that bland, weird, like fake color textures and kind of a weird, I don't know, animated gloss or CGI gloss over everything. So that's a little strange, but I like the new suit that they're going with. The trailer was edited really well. I know it's like, for the most part, most Marvel trailers are good at selling what something is going to look like, so it can be a little deceiving. And I would say, like, take this with a grain of salt. I think you should literally drink an entire salt shaker and grind it all in your mouth. This is not a grain of salt. This is the whole thing. I feel like I'm using that saying wrong. This could be good. Literally any movie can be good. We don't know until it comes out. I don't know. I'm fine with it. The trailer, they're coming a week before Deadpool and Wolverine, as well as San Diego Comic-Con, where they're actually going to give an upcoming look at like the slate of Marvel. And this comes out in February 2025. So it's still a while away. It comes out February 14th, 2025, I believe. I'm just confused because it didn't look totally crap. I watched the trailer, and then I watched it a second time, and I was like, wait, why do I enjoy this? Like, they show Red Hulk in the trailer. It's Thunderbolt Ross. And I bet if you asked Harrison Ford, he would not know what the hell a Red Hulk is. Yeah, looks good. I'm actually surprisingly excited for a Marvel movie other than Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm looking forward to a Marvel movie. I think that's a good note to end on for the news this week. So we've got some casting stuff. We also got an official synopsis of Blade Runner 2099, which I didn't mention. That's now filming in Prague. Seems good. I'm cool with that. There's been lots of trailers coming out, but as I said before, there's timestamps below. So before I get into Longlegs, you can skip along if you don't want to hear anything about it. If you only want to stick to non-spoilers, of course, we will start with non-spoilers as long as I can. Got lots of good stuff to say about the movie, but yeah, let's get into Longlegs. Longlegs is a horror mystery movie released this year, 2024. It is an hour and 41 minutes. Currently has 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is directed by Oz Perkins, who, fun fact, was in Legally Blonde as Dorky Dan, I think is his name in that movie, which I was very shocked to see that. Distributed by Neon. Cinematography is wonderfully done by Andres Arachi, and also has 78% on Metacritic. The Google's in a nutshell is thrilling, dark, and terrifying. I would agree with all of the above. The film stars Micah Monroe as Agent Lee Harker, Nicolas Cage as Longlegs, Blair Underwood as Agent Carter, Alicia Witt as Ruth Harker, Michelle Choi Lee as Agent Browning, Kiernan Shipka as Carrie Ann Camera, and Dakota Dalby as Agent Fisk. So, the official synopsis is, in pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree. A synopsis that does not give anything away. So from what I can tell, this is a very popular movie right now. Everybody is going to see it this weekend, which is really cool. As I mentioned earlier, like every Twitter picture I've seen of people showing their screenings and the seats available are just packed. I saw a good tweet this morning is like, I thought this was a Marvel movie for a minute because it's every seat is taken in their massive auditorium. So let me say, if you like movies that will make you scared of being in the dark after, boy, oh boy, is Longlegs one for you. I know I don't go to the movies often for horror films, but I was absolutely terrified and anxious during the entire film. Like from the first second, I was uncomfortable watching this, but in the best way possible. Like it was, my heart was racing like I was on a roller coaster, and I was actually just terrified being in the theater. This was so well done. There's so much I love about this that let's get into right now. As always, let's start with the cast. Micah Monroe as Agent Lee Harker. I think she is wonderful. She's quiet. She's contemplative. The context of her character just really is explained more throughout the film, which I really like. I just really like her introduction throughout it. She does such like a wonderful job in this role of not going for big screams or big actions and movements. She's just so reserved, measured. And I just really love Agent Lee Harker. Like she's just a really good character and a good hero in this story. Nicolas Cage as Longlegs. Oh my god, I just like from the first time you see him, I didn't watch the trailer for this. I didn't want to. I wanted to go in extremely blind, which I think was an excellent choice, and I would recommend watching this without seeing any trailers. I don't know if they show him in the trailers, but the first time he popped on screen, I almost like fell out of my recliner seat. I was horrified. It was they delivered. I think he's burned into my brain, and I got so scared during the movie that I had to remind myself it's just Nicolas Cage under there. That is a person playing a villain. It's okay. It's not real. This is all fictional. It's all made for a movie. Like I actually had to reassure myself during the movie because I got so scared. Am I being a baby? I actually felt like this was terrifying. And then I went on Letterboxd, and what's his name? Reese, the guy with a movie camera, his Letterboxd review was funny. It's like, he was like, nothing like seeing this. And then I was very happy to go out into broad daylight with people all around me. And I was like, yeah, walking out in the dark after this was pretty terrifying. His first appearance, though, Longlegs, gave me whiplash. I was pretty freaking terrified. Alicia Witt as Ruth Harker, which is Lee's mom. Creepy person. I think I need to watch some nice interviews with that actress because my impression of her is just like she's a weird human being after seeing this movie. And you feel bad because you're like, they're all acting in a horror movie, but it's almost hard to trust them after seeing this movie. Like, I am scared of you. I am actually terrified of you, and you creep me the hell out. The cast, really great in this, just top-notch performances. Micah Monroe, as I said, is just such a wonderful lead. I think she does a seriously great job in this. Nicolas Cage brings such a good Nicolas Cage energy to this. He's singing in parts. He's doing like creepy riffing. And I mean, it's exactly what you would want from Nicolas Cage in a horror movie. It's exactly what I wanted. And I felt like I got everything and more. The script. I think this is a wonderful script with such well-written dialogue. Like the movie reminds me a lot of Mindhunter, the Netflix show by David Fincher, where they're taking down serial killers, and as well as Zodiac. Those were two things I was really reminded of while watching this. I just really like kind of it has its flashy big moments, but it doesn't really go for the big jump scares a lot of the time. It has a couple of really good, like a good jumps that do get you. They get you, but it's not only going for those. Like, there are very slow and quiet moments that are just as scary as the big loud noise that'll get you in the end. But like, the script itself is so wonderfully written. I love how everybody talks in this movie. Like, it feels like a really good detective story, but also just the horror dialogue and creepy elements are very well written, and it strikes such a good balance. It was also written by Oz Perkins. He wrote it and directed it, which I think is just really great. I love when directors have also written the film because it's kind of their fully fledged idea. I don't know, and this is a really good example of that. Every scene feels very measured and well done and like to its fullest potential, if that makes sense. Yeah, there's a really good kind of mixing of super intense building up suspense moments, but also slower, drawn out moments that hold us in that suspense, which I really enjoyed. And also there's just scenes that kind of give us time to breathe after a pretty exhilarating opening to this movie. Like, I went into this expecting some trailers. I sat down. I was like, all right, I'll go to the bathroom at like 7:20. I was a 7:15 show, and I was like, all right, I'll 7:20 after a couple of minutes, I'll go to the bathroom, try and go pee before the movie starts. Nope. Zero trailers. 7:15, lights went down, movie started. So you're already kind of thrown off, like, oh shit, we're going. Okay, like, let's go. 7:15 on the dot. All right. So you're immediately already kind of mentally put off your bearings, you know what I mean? Like, you're off your bearings because you expect, okay, we're going to get 15 minutes of trailer. Nope, nothing. Just like, enjoy the show. Lights go down, turn off your phones. I was like, oh shit, all right, well, here we go. And I was like starting to get nervous. And I like that though, because I don't know if that's an intentional thing from who. I don't know whose decision that is that we're not showing any trailers for this movie, whether that is Elevation Pictures or it was Oz Perkins, but I actually kind of liked it because it subverted your expectations before the film is even starting. And whether that's an intentional choice or not, I still just I felt very strongly about that, and that stuck with me until after the movie. I was like, damn, no trailers really threw me off from the get-go. And it kind of leads you with a creepy, subverted feeling as the movie's starting, and those opening 15 minutes as well. I mean, no spoilers, but they do throw you in the deep end. Like, I think that's what this film does so well, is it just immediately grabs you by the collar of your shirt, pops your floaties, and throws you in the deep end. It's like just, sink or swim, piss or get off the pot, which I really liked. I think the immediate intensity after the expected trailers really mentally fucked with me, because I was just, by the time the title card showed up, I was like, what have I got myself into? I was scared. It was like that Jamie Lee Curtis TikTok sound. It's like, I don't know what day it is. I'm jet lagged. I'm flying. I'm tired. I was so disoriented, but I really loved it. And I was so in. So let's talk about Oz Perkins, the writer-director, because I do really want to give more credit to him. As wonderful as the cast is, I've seriously loved Micah Monroe, I believe is her name. Micah Monroe as Agent Lee Harker, and Nicolas Cage is outstanding in this. They are both great, but Oz Perkins, he does such a wonderful job as both a writer and director. I mean, from a directing standpoint, there are some absolutely phenomenal shots in this. There's one where a character's laying in bed and we're looking down at them from the ceiling. And as they're kind of crawling and get off the bed, the camera, instead of changing camera angles, the camera just follows them, and we're getting an inverted shot where we're upside down and we see them. So like, we're looking at them and it's, normal kind of aspect and shit like that. Like, it's just how everything should look. But instead of cutting and having the camera put on the floor and watching them get out of bed, the camera stays on the ceiling and tracks them into an upside down shot in this basement, which I've really liked. That was one shot that really stuck with me in the film. I was like, damn, that was cool as hell. There's a lot of scenes in this. Everybody's heads and faces are framed right in the center of everything. So like, it'll be a dialogue between two characters and it's just like a shot from the chest up, and it's a close-up of, forehead to chest, and we get their faces are perfectly center frame, but the lens they're using and the zoom on it or whatever is it's like the 0.5 camera almost, not quite, but the framing and the zooming that they're using really shows character, center frame, but you really do get everything around it. It's very zoomed out. So although we're more focused on the character's face. There's so much happening in the frame around them, and in particular this one sequence where there's a break-in or whatever, or there's a creepy sequence with Longlegs. You see the character's face, but there's so much happening around the people. So I really love that, and that goes down to the cinematography and the directing of those choices, because even just the framing of that, it's like any movie. What you put in the frame, mise en place or whatever, mise en scene, it has an effect. So even just the, okay, how can we make the most of this shot by showing both the expectations and the feelings of the character, but we want to show what's around them as well. So I love that. I really love that choice as well. How they zoomed on the characters as well. It's just that one ceiling shot really stuck with me. And there's also just the visual elements of this film. Like, it is a horror movie. You're expecting visual things. There's a changing of aspect ratio that we're getting Polaroid shots. So it goes into the frame, what is that, 4x3 or whatever it's called, of like a Polaroid camera. So I think that's shown in the trailer from what are like images and posters and shit like that I've seen. I haven't seen the full trailer, but like what I have seen, I'm pretty sure they show that. So I enjoyed the changing of aspect ratio. The makeup of Longlegs is terrifying, really gross. Like, not gross, but ugly. They're an ugly person. I feel like they're a serial killer. It's okay to say that they're ugly. I don't think that's bullying of a serial killer. They're an ugly person. And there's just a really good effects. I mean, there's lots of good kills in this. You go to a horror movie, you want some good kills and gore and blood and stuff like that. But I really like the striking balance of it. It feels like a serial killer procedural kind of, and a real horror movie with some freaky elements. So I liked all that, and it's just a visually very good looking film. Like, I love the cinematography and the color palettes they chose. It actually does look like Mindhunter to me as well. When I watched it, I was like, it kept just being reminded of Mindhunter, and the use of very foggy lighting, kind of stuff like that. I really liked it. Good looking thing. And I don't think this is a spoiler. If you don't want to hear that what the chapter titles are, because the movie's broken into 3 parts, skip ahead. I mean, I feel like that's not a big thing, because if you don't know what's happening in the movie, you won't really understand. So skip ahead, I would say skip ahead 60 seconds. He breaks the film into 3 parts. We get a prologue at the start, but then there is 3 parts titled His Letters, All of Your Things, and Birthday Girls. I really like that. It reminded me of Furiosa, where you see the chapter titles and your mind is immediately starting to work, and it strikes you with a certain feeling. And also the titles all build on everything that's happened in the past in the story, or things that have already happened in the movie. So I really like that. I thought that was, again, a good choice. And yeah, like I said, I like the mixture of a serial killer film and a religious satanic horror film. Like, I think those blend very well together. Like, I just watched The Good Omen, and that is just a very strictly kind of religious horror type thing with like an Antichrist type stuff. Whereas this has a really fun mixture of different things. Like, it reminds you of a Mindhunter, of a Zodiac, but also it does remind you of more, I don't know, The Exorcist and shit like that, where people are taken over by demons and things like that. So I really like that. There's just so much good feeling. The movie really does play on your nerves. Like, it's really trying to mess with you, and it for some reason reminded me in certain parts of Zone of Interest, where using the use of blank screens and just colors and sounds to make you think and understand the scene, which I really liked. That's another really great thing about this film, is that it kind of goes in the use of, okay, we're going to show a blank screen and just have sound, or we're just going to show things on screen but have no sound with it. So stuff like that. It's a solid horror movie. What can I say? It is a very solid horror movie, and I like the mixture of the kind of different types of horror. I have nothing that I didn't like about the movie. It is a seriously wonderful horror movie. I gave it 4.5 stars out of 5 on Letterboxd. I think it's my 4th favorite movie this year, behind Dune Part 2, Challengers, and Furiosa. I really like this. This is just a really great creative horror that will scare you to death and make you uncomfortable being alone after. I had to go home and watch The Boys and like some funny Tim Heidecker stuff, because I was just so off-put after the movie, and I was so anxious after. I was like, Jesus Christ, that was tough. Like, I walked out of the theater and I had to call my girlfriend right away. I was like, I just need to hear someone else's happy voice, because this is brutal. Look, if horror movies aren't your thing, I don't think you'd like this, because it is such a good horror movie, and it is terrifying as hell. If you don't like scary movies, would not recommend this. But if you do dabble with horror movies even a bit, I think you'll love this. And if you do love horror movies, this will be especially great. It has some wonderful camera work, has really great directing, it has really good performances. I like that it doesn't just go for cheap scares and CGI effects. It all feels very real, feels very practical in camera. I love the use of camera, and this is something I would highly recommend. I seriously do think people should see Longlegs. It's a very good horror movie, and in a theater it had a very good effect watching this in the dark with a bunch of strangers because I was pretty terrified. So I'd recommend Longlegs. Okay, I have lots to talk about in spoilers, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, skip ahead to what else I watched because I have some fun stuff I talk about in there. So I did have some questions after, not really like, oh, that didn't make sense questions, but just general things. Let's talk about some spoilery things that I can get to now that I did, like the opening of the movie. So it is a non-linear story. There is 3 chapters, but it's revealed, and I think if you Google the movie, the synopsis on Google kind of tells you that Lee has a past with Longlegs. So the start of the movie is actually their first interaction when Longlegs first meets Lee, and it is a terrifying opening. As I said, the movie opens extremely intensely. You get opening of the movie is him pulling up to the house, meeting Lee, and it's so creepy, and you get a jump scare because he's like, oh, I wore my long legs today, and then he jumps down into frame, and again, it's shot in that Polaroid framing of, what is it, 4x3, 4x4, I don't know what that would be considered. I'm not an aficionado by any means. So you're immediately kind of messed up. And again, there's no trailer, so you're like, oh my God, we're starting. Here we go. It's like a roller coaster or a plane taking off without any warning. You're just like, shit, we're in the deep now. Let's get into it. And then you're thrown immediately into Harker's first FBI, like their first day, and they're all hunting down someone. I don't know if they're hunting down. No, I don't think they're hunting down Longlegs. I think they're just hunting down someone in general. And it's kind of indicated that she is I don't know, she can see the future. She gets like random hunches and stuff, so she is a little bit supernatural, or I don't know. She has these weird hunches and it gets her a promotion. And within the first 2 houses they knocked on, her partner gets shot in the head, and it's such like a random bang. Like, again, this movie gives you so much whiplash that you're like, holy shit, wasn't expecting that. All right. And I love the start of this movie because it immediately throws you into it, and then it takes a second to breathe. You get to know Harker. So again, the pacing and the storytelling, the fashion they do it, I like that. I think the whole twist of the movie, or kind of how it functions narrative wise and how Longlegs functions, is really smart. He's using this doll that he puts in people's homes that is evil and has like part of his soul in it because he's the Antichrist or whatever, I guess, or he's like a demon and he's working on behalf of the devil. So they put these dolls in people's homes, and it's Lee's mom that is dropping off the dolls, and she fakes being a nun, and so she's welcomed into their home because these were times, and even now, I don't know, they let people priests and nuns into the home to talk about Jesus Christ. It is interesting. The use of dolls reminded me of Horcruxes from Harry Potter for some reason. Just the fact that Longlegs is putting part of himself in these dolls, and they're like these porcelain ceramic dolls that have this metal ball inside the head, and he's putting part of himself in these. So I don't know, I was kind of like, wait, so are the balls evil or are the dolls evil? Like, what is the evil part? But every time Lee would shoot a doll in the head or a doll would be shot in the head, it was no longer evil, and the doll that the person looked like, because the dolls are based on people, were no longer possessed those people. So I don't know, interesting. But I liked the dolls and how things operate in this world. I think it was not a world that had me questioning like, okay, that's just stupid and so far-fetched, which, it's a horror movie. There was nothing in it that I was like, okay, that's a little ridiculous. Like, come on, it's kind of refreshing watching a horror movie and not just being like, Jesus Christ, why would you do this? Like, are you stupid? You know what I mean? It was kind of nice of like, yeah, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. I'd probably do the same thing, which is just kind of refreshing to get in a horror movie. So I liked the use of the dolls in this and getting families to kill themselves using dolls, and Lee's mom is involved. I think the twist that Lee actually has a past with Longlegs, and that's revealed later in the movie, and part of the plan is her mom being involved and that Longlegs actually lives in their basement, is super crazy, and I really liked it. I thought it was a really fun twist because like from the first phone call with her mom in the film, I was like, something's up with this lady. She's creepy. She sounds like half dead inside. There's so much dead air when they're dead air. If anybody watches Sunny, they'll understand what I just said. Yeah, just the first phone call with her mom, I was like, what the fuck is up with this lady? just a really fun twist that, again, I wasn't like, oh, okay, of course, everything's connected. You know, sometimes you watch movies and you're like, oh, of course, yay, everything's connected. But her mom is also like there and has to witness all of the murders. So the way she does it is Longlegs. There's this system they have based on birthdays that they're killing people with daughters who have birthdays on the 14th of the month. They're going to different houses, and Longlegs will make a doll that looks exactly like the child of the house, like the daughter that has the birthday. You know, the mom shows up as a nun, says, oh, hello, you've won a contest with the church. Maybe come in and deliver this doll to the birthday girl or whatever. Like, and of course they're gonna let a nun in. They're not gonna be like, oh, get out of here, creep. It's a little old lady nun. The doll has these like light up eyes that get all creepy. That was a really fun effect that I enjoyed. And under the porcelain doll, because they put this like black sheet over her, and it's just, man, it's creepy as shit. You know, it's pretty scary, pretty scary. The shot I was talking about where someone's laying on a bed, that is when it is revealed Longlegs is actually working out of the basement of Lee's mom / Lee's like childhood home, because after Lee's mom shoots the doll that looks like her as a child, you see like this demon spirit leave Lee's head, like this black cloud of evil energy or whatever, leave her head, and Lee wakes up in the basement laying on this bed, and it's actually her, like it's a tracking shot of her walking through the basement. Then it's, you know, you see this creepy ass basement and where there's all these like doll heads, and dolls are so weird, but I love that. And I think that upside down shot is really interesting because of like what Longlegs says throughout the movie. Like he says, oh, I'm a friend of a friend to everyone, and he's a friend of Lee's mom, and he says that to her as well. But also he says like, I'm the man downstairs, and he's the man downstairs, but also, you know, the devil, he's working on behalf of the devil. And before he kills himself, he says, hail Satan. So, you know, he's a Satan worshiper. Yeah, fact it was her childhood home really messed me up. And he uses like a code, kind of like the Zodiac, and that's when it reminded me of the deciphering. I love movies where people have to decipher codes, like in the Batman or in Zodiac. I love deciphering a serial killer scramble puzzle. That's fun to me. I love movies with that. I don't know why, I'm always like, yeah, decipher that code. There's these metal balls inside of all of the dolls' heads, and I was just like, what's up with that? So are those metal balls just like always in porcelain dolls that are able to open their eyes? Because they have like an autopsy of one of the dolls, and they say, oh, nothing's in the ball, like there's no point opening it up, but there's nothing inside. So it's the evil spirit of Longlegs that's in those metal balls. I didn't really get that. I was like, okay, it makes sense. I think I got it, but I just had kind of questions after. Kiernan Shipka plays the character Carrie Ann, who is the only girl to ever survive the murders of Longlegs, and she's in like a mental institution, and Longlegs finally goes and visits her. I guess he puts like a curse on her or whatever, because she finally like wakes up and is totally normal and able to talk to people, but she's still fucked up and weird. Like she's crazy because she is a survivor of this and literally has like a devil curse on her. So she ends up killing herself, but perhaps, I don't know, perhaps Kiernan Shipka's character was the only one that I kind of forgot about after the movie. I was like, oh yeah, like what was really the point of that? But I think that was maybe trying to show that like his business isn't done until everyone in that family dies, and that everybody in the family has to die for him to fully die. Like, cause he kills himself at the FBI depot. We get an FBI interrogation between Lee Harker, and she's facing Longlegs, and he just starts, you know, he starts singing and going nuts, and then he just starts smashing his face on the table. It's disgusting. Like, it's actually so gross. His nose is hanging off. It's gross as hell, and the blood splatters on her, and oh man, it was disturbing. He talks about like, oh, I went and visited her, and he uses Lee Harker's name to get into the institute, which is the biggest laugh of the movie is when they're at the institute, and the supervisor's like telling the story of like, oh yeah, she got a visitor yesterday and now she's normal as peaches or whatever. And they're like, can we see the login book? You know, Longlegs wrote down Lee Harker the day before, and they're like, you guys don't ask for IDs? And the security is like, no, but that's a great idea. And it's like the funniest laugh in the movie. Yeah, look, this is a pretty dope horror movie, and I think there's lots of narrative devices, and how this world functions is just so interesting, and I really love all the twists. I think it's not overly complicated, which I enjoyed. It is a pretty straightforward movie. I think that's maybe its only downfall, or not even downfall. It's just like this movie doesn't reinvent the wheel. I think it's just like a very well well-made, excellently crafted horror movie that I would watch again, perhaps with lights on. Could we get a sequel? I hope not, because in the end, Lee has to go to her FBI agent supervisor's daughter's birthday, who is the next victim, and he, Longlegs and the mom bring a doll over, and Lee just makes it in time to kill the FBI agent that murders his wife before he can kill his daughter. She also kills her mom in the meantime, Harker, who was there, of course, delivering, because she has to deliver all these dolls, remember? I think where it leaves it kind of on a cliffhanger is the fact that Lee doesn't shoot the doll because she's out of bullets, and she doesn't do anything after that. She doesn't smash the head of the doll. She just runs away with the daughter that survived. So that makes me perhaps think that she might still be under the spell of Longlegs, and there could be a sequel for this, but I don't know. I mean, who knows? If it does extremely well box office wise, I could totally see them doing Longlegs too. And horror movies, they get sequels all the time, sorry. So I don't know. Who knows? Is she still under the control of Longlegs? I don't know. What did you think of the ending? If you saw it, let me know. Is this going to be a sequel? I thought this was really solid, and I would recommend people go see it if you like horror movies. All right, let's get into what else I watched this week. I watched 2 episodes of The Boys, because I recorded a little earlier last week. So I watched episode 6, which was phenomenal. And then last night I watched episode 7, which is the penultimate episode of the season. And I have to say, this season of The Boys is so solid. I think we're set up for such a great finale. And I really hope they don't just do what they did last season, where with the finale, we kind of just end up back at square one of the season. I think they really are going to go for a grand slam finale with big stakes, and I don't know, someone's gonna die. I want to do an episode on the season, but I'm not gonna be able to record in time next week to do a full episode on it, so maybe in 2 weeks I'll briefly talk about it and what else I watched, and I'll give a spoiler warning. But in 2 weeks we're also doing I don't know, we might do a year so far. I don't know, I'll see. But seriously, if you've watched, I talked about this last week, but if you've watched season 1, 2, and 3 of The Boys and you're not watching season 4, I think you are missing out, because it is just as solid as the first 3. I actually am kind of liking it better than season 3. I don't know. So all the Soldier Boy stuff was really great in season 3, but I think this is really taking us into new places that we haven't seen in the show before, which I think is just really great. You need to grow and expand the show. So yeah, The Boys would recommend, absolutely. And if you haven't seen any of The Boys, you should, because it's awesome. I also watched another show that I watch on Amazon. It's Adult Swim. My Adventures with Superman, episode 8. I really like that they're bringing Supergirl into it. Like I said before, it's just a super solid show. If you like animated shows, you like Superman, you like fun animation shows, I think you should check it out. It's really great. I'm enjoying it a lot, and it's getting me hyped for the Superman movie, which is actually going to be out a year from this weekend, July 11th, I think, 2025. I also watched Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, which is a Netflix film. It is the 4th Beverly Hills Cop movie. I think I've seen the first 2. I don't think I ever saw 3 from what I can remember, and it's been a while since I've seen the first 2. I really like them, though. They were fine from what I remember and pretty funny. Look, it is a pretty generic Netflix movie, but I have to say, I did still enjoy it, and Eddie Murphy brings so much to the movie. He is seriously carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, because he is hilarious. He can make a mountain out of a molehill with a funny concept or a funny line. I feel like he does so much great improv in the film, and they kind of just let him go crazy. And if you like the Beverly Cop movies, or you've seen them at least, I feel like you would be satisfied with 4. It feels like a perfect, it's not even a legacy sequel, it's just a straight up sequel. They just add new characters. They're not trying to be they're not trying to be new versions of the old characters, like you see in a Star Wars The Force Awakens, where Rey is just the new Luke, etc., etc. It's just they're new characters that go well with the old characters. So I liked that. I do think there's a couple performers in it that don't really work, like Axel's daughter. I think she is a little bit stiff at time. Kevin Bacon's a little bit of a generic villain, and the villains in the movie are pretty generic. I think actually Joseph Gordon-Levitt is very good in it. He's very funny as well. I forgot how just great of an actor he's in, because I haven't seen him in a lot recently. I thought he was pretty funny in it, pretty solid. So I would recommend that. If you're fine with Netflix movies and you like Beverly Hills Cop, I think you'll be very happy. Why not check it out? It's very popular right now. I also watched The Acolyte episode 4 and 5, which we're going to do a full episode on all of The Acolyte, because that wraps up on Tuesday. So I'll save my thoughts for that for next week. Just a quick recommendation. I watched Office Hours Live, and they had from The Majority Report, they had Emma Vigeland. Very interesting. It was a nice kind of different episode with of Office Hours Live. They were talking about, Biden and Grandpa won't give up his keys now that he's getting old and he wants to keep driving, which is just crazy. Like yesterday, Biden calling Trump the VP and calling President Zelensky of Ukraine President Putin. Just brutal, man. You got to step down. Kamala's ready in the wings. She's ready to step in. But that was great. It was actually still very shockingly hilarious, the Office Hours episode, even though it was a more like kind of not serious, but they talked about, some real shit. And I've also, because I was supposed to have doctor's appointment yesterday, which were both canceled because my car died, I binge watched The Bear season 1 as well as season 2 episodes 1 to 4. I don't know why. I just felt like going back and rewatching The Bear. Such a solid show. One of my favorite shows. It's so good. Like, it is true. I think in all 3 seasons, actually, the plot and the story do move very slowly. Like, not tons happens every season story-wise, but so much is happening at the same time. And season 1 is just so lightning in a bottle. It's so hilarious. And I kind of on rewatch don't love all the Claire stuff in season 2. I'm not a big fan of the Claire Bear storyline with Carmi. I don't know. It's fine. I love Molly Gordon. I think she's really funny, but and she's great in the show, but it's just like, I don't know, I'm not crazy about that storyline. But season 1 is just phenomenal. When Richie gets stabbed, that's one of the hardest I have ever laughed at a TV show, when him and Sid are just going at it and then he walks away and Sid just stabs him in the leg. I just got fucking stabbed. That's one of my favorite lines ever. Oh my god. Oh my god, Richie is my favorite character in like almost any TV show. I think he's just, Eben Moss Backrack is so funny in the show. But yeah, that's what else I have watched this week. And I think that about does it for episode 26, Longlegs. We did it. This week, see Longlegs. I would definitely recommend it if you and your friends are looking for a scary movie or a fun movie to go see. It'll make you pee your pants a little bit. As always, please rate and review the show 5 stars on everywhere you get your podcasts. You can also share it, text it to a friend, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. Rate it 5 stars and review it. It helps with engagement, helps the show grow. It'll do us a great favor. We are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, which if you're a Prime member, right now I believe you can qualify for 3 months free of Amazon Prime Music. We are also on Acast, which is the home of this show, and it's produced on Acast. We're also on YouTube, where you can catch my shorts there. You can catch the full podcast there. You can like, comment on the videos. What did you think of Longlegs if you saw it? What did you think of season 3 of The Bear if you've caught up on it now? And subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you know every Monday as soon as the episode is out. Help grow the channel. It is greatly appreciated. And go and rate and review on all the streamers. You can catch this episode on anywhere you want, any of the streamers, or on YouTube if that's your jam. You can also get in touch with the show by emailing watcherofallthings@gmail.com. What do you want me to review this summer? What else are you looking at? I'm going to do an episode soon on the year so far, film-wise, because I'm soon going to be at 30 movies watched this year, like 30 new films. So I'm going to do a nice recap episode in a few weeks. So let me know what you've been watching. What have you thought of perhaps the box office performance this year? What have been your favorite movies so far this year? And you don't just have to email the show. We are also on TikTok and Instagram. The TikTok page is watcher.of.all.things, and the Instagram is just Watcher of All Things. Go follow on both of those. Go like all the stuff on there. I post a few times a week on each, so go check all that good stuff out. You can also follow my personal letterboxd, which is KikiJ70. That's KIKIJ70. So you can see all my reviews right away, and I also make fun lists when I'm on there. So yeah, another great episode. I really enjoyed Longlegs. Lots of good TV happening. 2 shows wrapping up next week. We got The Acolyte and The Boys wrapping up, but we're just going to talk about The Acolyte next week. Tune in for that. It's okay so far. I don't know. It's not the best thing I've watched. There's been one really solid episode. Otherwise, it's fine, but we will get into that next week. I hope you're enjoying your summer break. If you have time off, I hope you're relaxing to your utmost. Even if you're still working through the summer, I hope you're enjoying the warm weekends and your summer nights. Thank you so much for listening once again, and I will see you in the next one.